right now Speaker of the House of Delegates in Virginia, Bill Howell. Mr. Speaker, great to have you with us, sir.
Thank you, John. It's great to be back on.
Okay, we've got a lot to go over. I want to talk about the midterms, though. I really can feel a Republican tsunami on the way. You look at state after state, Republicans either ahead, tied, or closing in. When you look at potential gubernatorial wins, Mr. Speaker, in Connecticut and Massachusetts, something out there is happening.
Well, you're exactly right. There is a concern about a huge concern about the direction in which the country is taking us. And Cato just did an interesting study on the different states, and of the 12, I think it's the 12 best run states, best governors, 11 of them are Republicans, and the bottom 12 are all Democrats. And so there's a difference in philosophy, a difference in governing, which is showing up at the state level, and I think the country recognizes that, and I really believe they'd like to see it done at the federal level as well. But can't do much about the executive branch there for a couple of years, but you can certainly make differences at the state level, and I think that's what we're seeing.
Some of the results that we're seeing are just shocking. And right now, I think the Republicans are going to win 8 seats, but it could go as high as 10. We'll have to see how it plays out. Mr. Speaker, if you will, I want to get to Virginia now. Start with the recent SEC analysis, the SEC, the State Corporation Commission, saying that the policies under the new EPA regulations that are going to hit Virginia are going to cost $6 billion in higher energy cost. $6 billion with a B. I mean, that's a staggering number.
It is staggering, and it's not unexpected, and it's not counterintuitive. We should expect it from the regulations that the president has asked the EPA to impose on everybody. Basically, converting your energy to renewable sources, to solar panels and windmills and things like that. I think everybody's for advancement of renewable energy, but we're just not there yet. It takes huge subsidies to bring it to the public, and it's not reliable. I saw a figure the other day where it takes 7 square miles of land to have enough solar panels to produce 1 megawatt of electricity. And of course, that's if the sun is shining. If it's nighttime or a cloudy day, you don't get that energy, and so it's got dire consequences for the country and especially for the Commonwealth. We've been blessed with relatively inexpensive energy prices compared to other states. It's been one of the reasons that we've done so well in attracting businesses because of our lower energy costs. And this will just throw all that out the window. Not only will it become incredibly more expensive, but it's become incredibly less reliable. And
the thing is, this is going to hit average Virginians, middle-class Virginians. We're going to the winter. Those that are well off, a couple extra dollars in their heat bill or whatever, they can deal with that. But if you're struggling to make ends meet at the end of the day, this is a big deal.
It is. It's a huge deal. We've already seen the impact of these EPA regulations, proposed regulations, in Southwest Virginia, where the mining companies have been shutting down their mines left and right, and there's a lot of people out of work down there. You're going to see that ripple effect where companies have to cut jobs because their energy expenses are going through the roof, and as you say, the middle class is as usual is going to be the ones that really get hammered.
They're going to get hammered, and we're not doing anything. It's just so unsettling. Mr. Speaker, I want to go to Senator Warner and these EPA regulations. Now, I've been very critical of the senator's stance on it because on one hand he'll say, well, I'm not for closing the coal mines, and I've been down there, my own party's man, but then we don't really get any action. And so Warner hasn't done anything about these EPA regulations at all, has he?
Not a bit. He has, and this is, I'm afraid, very typical. He has not shown leadership on this issue, as he's not shown leadership in many other issues. He needs to stand up to his president and say, we cannot afford to do this. It doesn't make sense, and economically, it's terribly destructive to the Commonwealth. And as our United States Senator, he and Tim Kaine and Governor McAuliffe need to write the president and say we cannot do this. They need to comment before the EPA. Warner said he needs time to review these regulations, proposed regulations, and he wants to extend the public comment period. At the Fairfax County debate, he said he wanted more time to get the facts right, and the facts are clear. It's going to cost Virginians a ton of money, and asking for an extended period of public comment it just isn't leadership.
And I think it's almost evading the issue, because I think saying in the middle of a campaign, I want to extend the comment period, I want further. And look, we have all the analysis we need. The analysis is that energy rates in Virginia are going to go up by $6 billion. That's the analysis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Speaker, there's been a lot of talk this weekend about Senator Warner's phone call to Joseph Puckett, Senator Puckett's son. We all know the Senator Puckett story. Southwest Virginia tipped the balance of power to the state Senate away from Saslaw to Tommy Norment, now the Senate Majority Leader. We know about her daughter was trying to get appointed to a federal judgeship. But now this phone call that the senator made to Puckett's son, Joseph, the senator saying, look, I'm a friend of the families. I've been there for some time. I just talked to them trying to figure out what was going on. But some Republicans saying, well, he overstepped his boundaries. What say you?
Well, if you look at what the U.S. Attorney has been doing in the Western District of Virginia, where he's convened a grand jury to investigate Senator Puckett and Delegate Kilgore, I don't see how this is any different. And if you can convene a grand jury to look into Puckett and Kilgore's actions, then which by the way, I don't think there was anything done wrong there at all. But if you're going to be consistent, you certainly ought to be looking at what Warner said, and as well what Paul Reagan said. Who told Paul Reagan to say what he said? And I'd love to see them go before a grand jury and describe under oath exactly what happened.
Well, I don't think you can have one without the other, right? I mean, if you're gonna investigate Puckett and Kilgore, I mean, you have to turn around and investigate Reagan and McAuliffe. The other thing, the Paul Reagan voicemail transcript. I mean, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a federal prosecutor or anything like that, but that was awfully revealing.
Yes, it was. It surely was. And what also was revealing was their initial denial that they'd said anything, and were presented with a transcript saying, well, yeah, we said that. But the thing that's just not believable is that a chief of staff would do something like that without being directed by the governor to do that. And Governor McAuliffe insisted that he hadn't heard anything about it till the Thursday before the news broke, and it's just that just defies believability. And for Senator Warner to say, I talked with an old friend for an hour and we just brainstormed, is again, it just they're acting as if the people of Virginia are dunces and don't understand what's happening.
Well, look, I think the fact that Senator Warner picked up the phone and got himself injected in the middle of this thing and talking about federal judgeships and things like that was way out of line. You know, whether or not it's illegal or against the law, I have no idea. But I think it was way out of line for a sitting U.S. senator from a state the size of Virginia to get involved in that. And look, I think at the end of the day, everybody was scrambling to try to figure out what to do. Making phone calls, offering deals, I mean, I think we've seen now in Virginia that just is not a good idea. I want to get to the McAuliffe thing, though, and I'm going to ask you, Mr. Speaker, straight out. You have a chief of staff. Could you imagine any scenario where your chief of staff made that type of a phone call and that type of an offer to somebody, a quid pro quo, because that's what it was, without your authorization?
No. As I said a moment ago, it just defies believability that that a chief of staff, any chief of staff, would undertake something like that without have been instructed to do it by the governor or by his superior. And the fact that Paul Reagan's still in the office indicates to me that he didn't do it as a lone wolf, that he did have instruction.
Right, because if he did that on his own, he would have gotten fired, right?
He sure should have, yeah.
I would have fired him. Anybody would have fired him. So the whole thing defies, it just defies the smell test, if you will. But look, when you look at Governor McAuliffe's history, it's not surprising, is it?
No, this is his modus operandi. This is the way he acts. This is the way he works. He's always done this in his past jobs, and both as head of the Democratic National Committee and working with the Clintons, and it's the way he knows how to act. It's in his DNA. I
think so, Mr. Speaker. 2 weeks out, the Ed Gillespie-Mark Warner race. Some polls showing at 10-12. How does Ed Gillespie in 2 weeks win this race?
Well, I think he's worked incredibly hard since he's received the nomination. Before he got the nomination, going all over the Commonwealth, meeting with people. He's got a great message that he delivers. It's very positive on what he wants to do as a United States Senator. Wall Street Journal Kimberly Strassel wrote a very good op-ed piece the other day pointing out that he was one of the few Senate candidates that was describing what his vision was, what he wants to do, and it's a great conservative vision that he has. I think that's going to resonate. I really do. One problem with having all of these U.S. Senate races that are so close is that if the polls are showing him 9 points down, it's hard for him to get some of the super PAC money in that he can finish up the last 2 weeks. I'm still hopeful that he's going to be able to get the message out, particularly in Northern Virginia, that is so vote rich. And I felt all along that Ed Gillespie is a real sleeper out there. He can win this thing, and he'd be a tremendous leader and a tremendous U.S. Senator. And I think he's got a great opportunity. You mentioned earlier there seems to be a wave mounting out there. I think that helps. But I think just putting the two candidates up side by side, and you see one that, as we mentioned earlier, is not exhibiting any show of leadership, not going to the EPA and saying this regulation is going to cost Virginia jobs and Virginians a lot of money, and it doesn't make any sense. He's not doing that, and I think Ed Gillespie would.
I think Mark Warner should have done that. I think he owed it to Virginia, and he's saying that it's consistent with his stance. So you've got to take the mantle, and you have to stand up to the president, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, when it's going to hurt Virginia's a state that you're representing. Mr. Speaker, I'm almost out of time. I got about 1 minute. I want to get to the 10th district race where Barbara Comstock seems to be pulling ahead of John Faust there. What happened?
I think Barbara's going to win. Barbara's a rock star. I'm going to miss her terribly in the House of Delegates, but she'll do a great job for us in the House of Representatives in Washington. She's a hard worker. She's smart as can be. No one's going to outwork her. No one's going to outthink her, and I think it's showing in this race. It's helped some too that her opponent seems to have a problem of putting his foot in the mouth from time to time. But it's a swing district. But Barbara's worked hard. She's got the right message, and even though she's being outspent significantly, she's going to win on Election Day, and she's going to make a great member of Congress.
All right, that is going to be the final word from Speaker of the House of Delegates in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Speaker Bill Howell. Mr. Speaker, it's always great to have you on, and we appreciate your keen analysis and your candor as always, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John. Great to be here.